Welcome to Spilling Our Tea, where we have real, raw conversations with powerful Asian women about life, business, and all the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Sandy Casano, founder of Joyful Optimist Coaching, where we help Asian founders and entrepreneurs build abundant, joyful lives through mental fitness. As someone passionate about supporting female leaders, especially Asian women, I'm so excited to introduce today's guest. Today, we're joined by Lorraine Chai. Lorraine is a business growth coach, international educator, and best-selling author with over 20 years of experience across industries like education, real estate, and hospitality. Originally from Malaysia, Lorraine moved to Australia as a student, and her journey from international student to industry leader is one of resilience, courage, and impact. She has gone from personal challenges to leadership roles, proving that courage and resilience can truly change your path. Now, Lorraine's mission is all about helping business owners reverse engineer their goals to gain the freedom to focus on what really matters: family, health, and relationships. Lorraine, we're so excited to have you here to spill your tea. Welcome.
I'm excited to be here, so thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Let's begin with your story. You moved from Malaysia to Australia. Tell us about that journey and share with our listeners a little bit about Malaysian culture so that they can be more well informed.
So I am fourth generation born Chinese from Malaysia. So I don't classify myself as pure Chinese. There is difference when you go to a different country where different Chinese or different Koreans or different whatever Asian background you are. It's completely different depending on where you grow up. But I always look at where, I am still Chinese in that sense. The process of migrating or moving to Australia as an international student was exciting because I wanted that freedom. You know how you watch movies and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like a new life, with your suitcase and you're arriving in an airport where you see like this new environment and it's a whole new adventure. When I arrived in Sydney, I thought I never left the country because there was so many Asians already. So, the thought process of, Asians are just moving around. And the thing is, I don't look Asians as Asians. I look at every single person as a individual human being where, we may have the same skin color, the same hair color, different skin color, different hair color, but we're all the same. And that's how I approach business. And that's how I've had to view myself or bring myself up in Australia, where it's only when I converse with people when I realize, oh, they see me as a foreigner, they see me as a woman, they see me as an Asian. But before that, to me, every individual is the same. I mean, we're all the same. It's just how you present yourself.
So you have this very healthy, holistic approach, but you, in that, mentioned how often as a woman, as an Asian, as a foreigner, you're kind of put into these different buckets. How do you deal with being looked at under so many different lenses?
Well, as I grew professionally, as I grew status, as I grew my business, as I grew my reputation, there's so many times where I realized that that's how people view me. But to me, I want to be as good as a male CEO. I want to be as good as that female whoever. It's just, I see it as a role. I want to be as good as that role and I want to be better. So when I feel like someone's looking at me as an Asian woman or an Asian or a woman, like the question I ask myself straight away is, okay, how can I prove that I am as equal worthy? And how can I prove that I'm better? Because if they are going to view me as someone that is a minority, then I've already won the battle.
It just speaks to the resilience that you've had to build as you've needing to overcome those things. Can you share now, you have shared along the way that you had some personal challenges that helped kind of make you who you are today. Can you share a little bit more about what those challenges were and how they impacted who you are today?
Anything and everything. So as I told you before, is like it's already difficult being an Asian, number one. Number two is it's going to be difficult being a woman. So Asian woman is already difficult. How can we limit that where we can still continue to grow? How can we do things where it doesn't bother us, that we still are able to function at our best and even better? Because the whole process of growing and learning is to in the view line of the outcome of the end results. The challenges I faced growing up is the fact that I come from a family of doctors. So dad's a doctor, brothers now, I'm the oldest of four. Brother's now a doctor, my sister, number three, is a doctor, and my youngest brother's a dentist. Everyone's a doctor. The way that it was viewed back in the day was love my dad, love my parents, but dad was like, all right, the boys be doctors, girls be pharmacists, because boys are classified as better. And then the next thing on top of that was the fact that, okay, now as a boy, my brother after me, one of my brothers, he was saying, as a male in the family, I should get more inheritance because I'm the oldest son. And that's the common thing that we hear in the Asian culture, where the son is the one that holds the family name. The son is the one that carries on that legacy. Hence, he should get more inheritance. Hence, he should get more money. To me, that's very old school thinking. And the way I look at it is, why do I need to? I asked a lot of questions when I was young. So why do I need to have it bother me? Because that means he's just spoiled. That means he won't be able to, live on his own. He's always wanting support from parents, where what I could do is I could go to a different country, a new country, build my career up from scratch, where I don't have to rely on parents, which means that I am able to support myself. I am able to look after myself, and I don't have to go back to mom and cry, say, Mom, I need help. Like, parents are not going to be around forever. So that's the way that I view things. It's like the way that I view my future, the way that I live is in the process where how much can I learn so that when I do come into trouble, I can take myself out of that trouble instead of running back home, instead of running back to that security, that job security, that, your partner, ex-partner, or your family. Like, how can I grow where I know and I've developed skills to be able to succeed and go beyond the challenges that I face?
Wow. Your story reveals a hard reality for so many of us growing up Asian, is that we have I don't want to say discrimination, but we have these challenges externally, but we also face them internally within our own family structures. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it comes across the workplace too, is because they're brought up in that old traditional thinking where men are always better than women. Oh, okay, because you're Asian, that means English is not your first language. That means I'm more of a priority, of a higher status than you are. So, but I don't look at everyone and say, oh, that's what you think. I present myself professionally. And if that's the kind of vibe then I take, then I'm like, okay, how can I do business with you? How can I help you? Because it doesn't matter if I've got boobs. It doesn't matter if I've got dark hair. It's more of how can I help you? How can I serve you comparatively to somebody else that's in the same profession?
Love for you to speak, Lorraine, to those listeners out there who might be in a very similar situation, and they might be scared or restricted from wanting to break from their family mold, speak against tradition or their parents and follow their dreams, or be brave and bold and do, things that are not considered traditional. What piece of advice would you give to them, knowing what you know now?
I say this a lot to my audience. I was actually just in Malaysia doing 2 presentations to a group of younger people. I call them the next generations of CEOs. What I say is, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. I wasn't a straight A student. I was told many times by my teachers and my relatives that, I'm not going to be anyone. I think it's more of the way that I viewed my future. And that's what I always tell my clients is like, what kind of outcome do you want for your business? What kind of outcome in your life do you want? And then reverse engineer from that. We all want to be pleasers, but unfortunately we cannot please anyone. And I've come to that realization. It is difficult, but I've had to learn to detach from my family because it just holds me back from the success that I know that I am capable of, that I, am able to reach out for. And that's the same thing when I see with my clients. Like, I see how they feel when they're in their family environment. I mean, family, they always say blood is thicker than water. Fair enough. It's not that we're going to cut them completely off our radar. It's more of, I decide when I want to be present, and I decide when I want to work on myself, and I decide when I want to work on my business. It's prioritizing what matters. And the thing is, they're not going to be there forever. You have to plan. You are in your life every single day, which means that you have to plan your life and your business according to what you want rather than what they want, because they're not going to be living with you every day for the rest of their lives. It's your future. It's your emotion. It's your ambition. It's the future that you want, maybe for your kids, for your spouse, for your partner, for, the next generation.
So powerful. Yes, it is your life, right? Not theirs, your life. Now, you are a coach, and I would love for you to speak about what you do and how you do it, because one thing that I've noticed personally as a coach too is that often in Asian communities, it's really difficult to have get over that hurdle of people asking for help, getting support, and seeing perhaps the benefits of having a support system like a coach. Can you speak to what you do and how it benefits your clients?
I know this all too well. The thing is, people differentiate between coaches, educators, and sports coaches, where in order to be an athlete in Olympics, you have to have a coach, and not just one, you have to have 10 coaches. In the music industry, it's like parents will send their kids to lessons, right? You find a teacher to have lessons. You don't just go on YouTube and learn it from YouTube. Like, I mean, fair enough, teenagers do that, but which parents do that, right? And then this whole concept of coaching is like, why do you want to pay for coaching when you can just learn it online, when you can just go to YouTube, where you can just get it on a freebie? The thing about coaches is there is, we've got experience in the industry, and it's not just going to any Tom, Dick, or Harry. It's finding the right coach for yourself. And it's the same with your kids when you have, kids, when you're trying to find a music lesson. I always tell parents, I'm like, whether or not they're suitable in my lesson. Maybe the energy between me and the client it's not compatible. That's okay. You can find somebody else. There's no hard feelings, because there's so many coaches out there. There's so many educators out there. And then it's say, whatever I can help you, I'll help you. I'll give my advice. Whether or not you take it, that's a different story. Maybe the tone of voice I'm using is it's something where it doesn't make you want to do it. Maybe somebody else would have resonated better than yourself. So I always tell clients, I'm like, even if you stop having coaching from me, it's finding someone that matches with you. It's finding someone that goes all the way with you, not someone that just shows up every week, but someone that does the work with you as a coach, because that means your coach wants to see you succeed. It's not just words. It's the action. It's how much they want you to succeed as badly as you want, or maybe probably more. So yeah, that whole concept of coaching, it completely changed my life. Let's just put it that way. I grew up where Asian, right? I grew up where you buy the cheapest shit. You can save money, get something that is not branded, whatever. And then the more I did it, the more I saw things break down. Like you get a handbag which is not branded, like a right? You know what I mean? And then you see the handbag falling apart when you go on interviews. Like, that is just, it's not a good look, right? So it's leveling up your standards, leveling up your ambition, where, okay, I'm going to be of quality. That means I'm going to get quality stuff. I'm going to get a quality laptop that doesn't break down. I'm going to get quality camera, which shows a better look of myself. I'm going to get quality lightings that will last instead of breaking down every few months. I'm going to get a quality coach that would tell me what to do, because they are still getting coaches or coaching from someone better than them. So it's knowing the kind of quality you want in your life. And then the question is, what happens if I can't afford it? Or what happens if the coach or the person is not good? You don't know until you try. You don't know until you try. It's like a phone. How do you know whether to get an iPhone or an Android? You don't know until you try.
Yeah. Thank you for putting that perspective, Lorraine. I think sometimes people are scared of the unknown, right? Scared of what they've never had that. But one of the most profound statistics I just heard the other day was that, more than a third, I think close to half of the Fortune 500 leaders in the world right now and business owners have a coach. And these are people that are quote unquote successful, that are doing well, that are at this top level, and yet they still invest in themselves to become better, right? To stay at the top. And I think that was a really poignant lesson that we can share with others too, is that it's about an investment in yourself, really, in how
Absolutely.
to perform.
Because then the question is, well, I can do it myself. Yes, you can do it yourself, but at what cost? Your time with your family, your stress. So, yes, success, you can achieve that success by yourself. But if you have someone who knows the ins and outs that can advise you accordingly, it's like you're pivoting at an even faster and a higher rate. So why not take that chance? Like, why not invest? No matter how much it costs now, if you look at the cost in the long run, how much is that bringing in terms of revenue comparatively to how much you're spending?
Totally. It's like the shit purse, right? How many of those are you going to get? Whereas, you buy the good one, and buy one, you can have that for a lifetime. I know it because my mom would actually spend some quality money on some quality purses. And those purses look brand new. They're passed down to me now. I can use them. You can tell the difference. And I think that's the same thing, is that when you can invest in yourself, with a quality coach or a quality support system, you can really grow as not just a business owner or leader, but as a person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, with the coaches, you have someone that knows you well enough that they're able to, plan or create a personalized, unique program for yourself.
Lorraine, I would love to ask you if you'd be willing to share one of your biggest failures in life and what you've learned and how you overcame it.
Oof, one of my biggest failures. I had a lot of failures. I think, I know, right? Which is considered as the biggest? I don't know. All right. What I can share is this one big one. And I don't really talk about it a lot, but it's more of the way that I value money came from this, and how I pivoted came from this. And this was me losing 6 figures of my life savings. I was still a stingy person, maybe an average stingy person where I'm like, maybe not yet, or I'll do it later. Like all this excuse, right? I'll do it later, maybe not yet. Maybe if I earn X, Y, Z, then I'll do this. Maybe if I become this person, then I'll do this. All these excuses. You've heard it, you've done it, you've said it. Now, during COVID, when I lost 6 figures of my life savings to an online scam, with 2 weeks of not sleeping, a lot of people love hearing this. It's like, what's the value of money? Is when I decided that there is an abundance of money out there. There's an abundance of money out there, and money circulates. Money circulates. It doesn't have to stop where you are at, because the moment you start stinging about things, the moment you stop spending, is when you stop the economy and you stop money from flowing in. And the thing is, when you spend once, 2 times come back. When? It depends on how much effort you put in. So that 6 figures gone was kind of a kick up my ass, saying, okay, Lorraine, you got to do something about it. So 2 weeks of not sleeping, I decided, all right, I've got a job. I've got my reputation. I've got people that know me already internationally. Now, how can I broadcast this on a mega level where I'm doing more work, I'm pushing more, and this is the outcome that I want? Because I was still helping people. I was still supporting people. I was still advising people, But with the life that I want versus how many people I can touch, why can't I just, explode it on a magnificent an ultimate level, right? So with that, it's made me spend every money that came in after losing the six figures went into investing in myself, coaches. Learn from one coach as much as I could, stretch it as much as I could, ask as much question as I could, so much that the coach called me clingy. And it was okay because I wanted to know, like I wanted to grow. I was like, okay, I asked my question. And if I didn't understand, I asked another question because I wanted to learn, I wanted to grow. If I was labeled clingy, well, that's okay. But that was my process of learning. Like that's how my process works, because I'm the person that loves to learn, loves to grow. Outgrew that coach, went to another coach, learned as much as I could. Outgrew that coach, went to another one that was more expensive, continue learning. And the coach that I'm currently with is a coach that still gets coached by multiple coaches himself who are on a higher level than him, which means there's always things that I can learn from him since he's always leveling up. So it's, that's how I look at it, where, you come across with clients or you yourself listening, if you are listening to this episode, where it's like, oh yeah, I'll do it later when I reach this figure, or I'll do it later when I have, after my son has grown up, I'll do it later. All these excuses are very common excuses. I may hurt your feelings, but you have to come to grasp about it, because it just stops you from achieving something that you might possibly achieve, in a year's time, maybe 6 months. You never know until you put your foot forward, isn't it?
It is. And what I'm gathering from your experience is that it's about choices, right? You could have chose to kind of crumble and wallow with the loss of the money and go in a very different direction, right? And I think it's about making choice and about converting the opportunities that are before us. Am I reading that right as far as what?
Absolutely. And the thing is, everyone holds on so tight to money that, I've got friends coming to me and they're like, wow, within a year we see you pivot so much. Like, what did you do differently? I'm like, invest in myself. And I hear the excuse that they have is like, oh, I can't because I need to have money coming in, or I can't because of this, because of that. But it's like, yeah, but I'm betting on myself, This is the only bet I'll do, because I won't disappear. I'm seeing myself every single day. Anything that you bet on, like the races or whatever, like that can be lost instantaneously. But if I invest in myself, that's continuously going to stick with me. And it's how I use that knowledge, how I continue to grow. So this is not a lost investment. The investment for myself is not a lost investment at all. But what about the finances? Well, I'll make it happen. You can make it happen too. It's like, if you truly, absolutely want something as badly as you want it, or as I want it, you would do anything to do it. If you have a sick child that's dying, you do anything in your power to keep your child alive, right? I mean, that's the thing. If you're losing something of value to yourself and you don't want to lose it, you will do whatever it takes to keep that value, to keep that possession that you have. So why not yourself?
Love that. And you talk about money in the sense of energy, this flow, this abundance, which I completely agree with, that it needs to have circulation. It's so important to not just let it sit stagnant. Where does that belief system come from, do you think?
Very good question. Very good question. Now, I think all the whole concept of money made sense when I lost the six figures. Being brought up in an Asian family, parents are like, no, you shouldn't spend that. That's too expensive. Let's get this instead, right? Well, for me anyway, it's the concept of, all right, let's save money by like pinching something from here and doing it somewhere else. Even photocopied books instead of buying the actual books. Like, sorry, I know I'm a best-selling author now, so now I'm like, no, you gotta buy books, man. Hello, no more photocopy, please. But that was where I grew up. I grew up in a third world country where resources were limited, which means that you photocopy as much as you can. And with the value of money, that was how I saw it. Like the circulation of money was, I I always know my numbers, and it's very important to know your numbers, be it, as a business owner, or if you're transitioning to have your own business, or if you are in the workforce. Once you know your numbers, then you can kind of budget where you want things to be. And then when you have an emergency, you have emergency fund as well. I've always lived by that from young because I wanted to level up. And I'm like, okay, how can I level up unless I know the big picture? So I know the numbers here. I know how much money is coming in. I know how much money I'm spending. I know how much money I can splurge on myself when the time comes. I know how much money I can save up to buy, let's put an item, let's say a car, right? So that thought process came from a young age where I saved money from very young, and I always calculated money. Being Asian, we're always about the money as well. So with being a stingy Asian to trying to grow the money, and then looking at the bank where you have interests and following through the interest through those years, to how much or how can I stretch this dollar, to someone that lost six figures and finally realizing that, during COVID, I'm one of the lucky ones where I still have my reputation, I still have my job. There's people out there that have lost their jobs. So it's okay if I donated something to them to help them, get out of that slum. It's okay for me to continue working where I can grow my finances now back up because money is not limited. And now it's more of how can I continue enjoying the work that I'm doing? How can I circulate the economy? Because the whole process, the concept of once money stops where you are, money doesn't flow back in. So if I continue spending the right way, the proper way, 2 times comes back more, always. So it's a journey from being an Asian towards every single thing that's come up to my life, from saving, knowing your numbers, to losing the 6 figures and understanding the value of money, towards knowing when to spend on a larger scale, because I was actually growing really slowly. Knowing when to spend on a larger scale, knowing when to invest on a larger scale, knowing when to pivot or knowing how to pivot the right way rather than the slow process I was going.
So just to recap, it's about being really self-aware. And the theme I'm hearing from you is just bet on you, right? Like bet on you. Make those choices, make investments in yourself. Something that caught my ears as you were speaking about growing up, and it resonates with me within the Asian, our cultural experience is beautiful yet complicated, isn't it? And so for many of us, regardless of where in Asia we're from, we come from this complex history or tradition of either third world wars, just some level of strain when it comes to finances and security in how we live. And, my ancestry comes from Korea and Japan. And I think, especially on the Korean side, coming from the Korean War, there is this element where we had, it generationally came down this need to save or to be sparing in everything. To this day, I do this thing that my mom did and my grandmother did. They save boxes. They'll look at a box and be like, that's such a good box. And then they'll save it for something else.
And it's an empty box on top of the shelf.
I have don't open that door, because there's I have piles of these are really good boxes for this. I have really good paper bags for that, just these ways to, because you just never know when you'll, I guess it's this scarcity mindset of you'll never know when you'll need it, or you might not ever find it again. And it's just this, when you spoke about these ways that come down within our culture and tradition, the importance, I think, of what you're sharing too, is this ability to become self-aware and realize we're not in that state anymore, and that we can evolve to the way we think and the way we treat money and the way we have a relationship with money, right? And kind of move from scarcity to abundance.
So we have to understand that our ancestors back in the day behaved the way they did because of the situation, as you said, right? Because of the environment. We have to understand that through the generation, we we too have to grow. I mean, as Asian back in the day, it was tough, right? My grandma was shipped to Malaysia to marry my grandfather, in my mom's side. And my other grandparents lived on a farm. So they grew up in that environment. We don't have to follow through that tradition because we're living in different countries as well. We're not back in our mother countries. So it's more of the growth. Like, how can I evolve to suit the current era, current generation? And it's like in our business, in technology, how can I grow my business that suits the current era, the current generation, where AI is a whole new topic now. When back in the day, it's like we used to advertise on paper, on magazines and stuff. Now it's like you just go social media and everything's there. So how can you evolve as a person? And let's just take labels away, right? Let's take labels away, the fact that we're Asian, the fact that we're women. How can you evolve as a person internally as well as outwards into someone that we want ourselves to be? Because we have to stop. I think it's more of how can we stop labels? How can we put aside labels that it doesn't hold us back from who we are meant to be?
Absolutely. It's not, you had mentioned it, I think, in the very beginning when we were talking, it's not about just being a successful woman CEO or a founder. It's about being that great founder. Full stop. Right? Full stop. Lorraine, can you share with our listeners, if they wanted to coach with you, what that experience is like? Like, you talk about reverse engineering and all these things. Like, explain to them what that experience will be like with you as their coach.
A lot of my clients feel a sense of clarity as well as comfort being coached by me. I think there was one in particular that messaged me midway through, and she messaged me and she went, I can't do this anymore. It's too difficult. And the thing is, it's coming out of your comfort zone, right? It's coming out of your comfort zone to pivot into becoming a successful entrepreneur. So one day at 11 o'clock p.m., she goes, I can't do this anymore. It's too difficult. I just want to stop this. And picked up the call. I'm like, let's jump on a call, text. Let's jump on a call. I know it's 11 p.m. and I'm about to go to bed. Let's jump on a call. Jumped on the call, went into the core issue, like why was she feeling that way? Did something happen during the day? With me, I like to understand why my clients feel the way that they do, what kind of outcome they want, and it's leading towards that. So we understood why she was feeling that way. I talked her through the process. I talked to her about the outcome. Like, it's like going on a road trip, right? Sometimes you have to go through a bumpy road to reach, the destination that you reached. So I have to talk to her through that. And she felt much better at the end of the day. She's like, oh my gosh, like I'm so glad you gave me a call, because that was it. Like, I was just ready to pull the plug on my startup, but that was it. And then with the process with my clients is I see it from their success. So I know how it feels on every level. A lot of people don't know about this, but I used to be an extreme introvert and I used to be a stutterer, to someone now who is an international speaker. Like, I love speaking on stage. You can bring me on stage, I'll speak on stage. And I use that growth that I have in terms of helping my clients network and communicate and present themselves professionally, where they reach clients that they want, like, good clients that they want. I've got clients that come to me, they say, wow, like just the way that I changed the outlook, because I see you every day and it makes me want to do makeup and dress up well. And I see the difference because I've got clients going, wow, there's something different about you. I think it's the way that you present yourself. So, I help clients where they are confident in themselves, even though you're absolute scared shit inside, to portraying the person that you want to become up front, in order to attract the clients, in order to attract quality networking people to help you through the business, to help you through the growth into the person that you are meant to become.
Amazing. And where can they find you, Lorraine, if they want to become one of your clients?
So you can, if you write my name on Google, it will pop out, Lorraine Chai. Otherwise, you can go on my coaching website, which is Solopreneur2, so the number 2, entrepreneur. And you can follow me on my podcast as well, the Solo to Entrepreneur podcast as well. It's a pleasure being on your podcast. but it's, it's also sharing the knowledge, isn't it, between coaches and between other people. So you can always find me on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. I'm searchable. So, if you just type my name, I'm there.
Fantastic. And I don't want to forget, but I want you to talk about your philanthropy and what you started in Nepal, because years ago, I actually had the great joy of traveling to Nepal and teaching English to middle school students, which I fell in love with the country and the people. And so when I learned this about you, I definitely wanted to give space, and seeing now about how you feel about abundance and the cycle and the energy and sharing. I think it's really important that our listeners hear about what you're doing in Nepal.
So that was my first nonprofit project. And that was a project that I've always wanted to do since I was young, to be honest. I think it was because I was being brought up by parents that always gave back to the community from that environment. So I've always wanted to give back to the community on my terms. So as an international educator, I had a lot of connections in the education field, and I was on a level where I could do that. Like, it was a lot of spending. There's a level of corruption, as you would know, in Nepal. So I got a whole bunch of donated instruments. It was a lot of planning. Got a lot of donated instruments there. A lot of people were like, that's a bit silly because it's never going to go through the borders. I had high hope and high belief that it will. It was held and detained at the borders for almost a month until the day before I landed in Nepal, when they decided to release it. So I always have a positive mindset where things will happen because I want it to happen. If it doesn't happen, it's okay, because then we can always, improvise. But I always have that vision of the kids holding the instruments. And even though someone tells me, oh, you're not going to get your stuff out, I was like, no, I have that vision of the kids holding the instrument. When I went there, the whole school wanted to learn the violin. So I started a string program there. I got donations for resources. I donated my books. I have a whole bunch of books I donated. And the whole school wanted to learn the instrument, including the teachers. Like, that was how the locals viewed education, where if they could see the opportunity of learning, they would take it. Learning with teaching those kids was amazing. I had kids, even kids that I don't even teach, where they came to me and they, gave me little trinkets because they really appreciate it, and you can see that they really do appreciate what you do. The reason why I did it was because I saw the opportunity of doing that, and someone said to me, you should put a high ticket prices on your books. You shouldn't be giving things away for free. And the way that I heard it and the way that I viewed it was, education should be free. It's more of how do you use that knowledge for the future. And I wanted to give, that opportunity to people that can't get that opportunity, to possibly ignite a spark of interest to the possibility of so much out there, of the limitations they are put on themselves. I told the kids, I'm like, you can ask me any questions, no matter how stupid it may sound, because that's my job as a teacher. That's a job as an educator, is to help you through to succeed. I've got kids from Nepal that are stalking me on social media. That's the kind of feedback and the kind of experience I want the kids. I want the kids to continue learning and growing, and they love it. Like, they continue loving, and they're like, please come back, Miss, Madam, please come back to Nepal. I'm like, I will. Maybe not soon, in the future. But yeah, I plan to do this, continue doing this in other parts of the world. I'm hoping to do it in Africa, but I'm open to whatever arms are open out to me, because I truly do believe in inspiring the next generation. Like, coming from a small hometown, there's so many limitations, and there's a lot of people that tells you what you can't do and what you can do. And I like to kind of spark that interest, where I wasn't a straight A student, and now I'm an international speaker. So if I can do it, then everyone else can do it as well.
You're truly an inspiration, Lorraine. Thank you so much. Hey, listeners, if you love this conversation with Lorraine as much as I did, make sure to share it with a friend who could find her story as inspiring. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and join our community at joyfuloptimist.com/spilling our tea. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you at the next episode.